All right, first off, before anything, you guys remember those that 59.28 PT on ES from yesterday? I am pretty bullish for that to hit. Don't know when it's going to hit. The market's going absolutely freaking nuts right now, and it did just sweep some pivots, so we could see this reversal continue a decent ways. But I am bullish to 59.28. So if you guys are trading, it's a very solid PT to go for if this reversal candle invalidates. But all right, I'm going to quickly, because the market's going crazy, I know a lot of you guys are trading still, I'm going to quickly review this morning. And it was a pretty good morning. Wasn't an easy morning. PT wise, it was an easy morning. And this was pretty much the pre-market setup here. Take a look at the 5-minute. We got some nice bouncing. We swept these yesterday's lows overnight, and we are bouncing. I'm not sure if this was actually like a nice fib bounce or anything. I didn't check. Yeah, it was a 61.8 bounce. It's kind of what it looked like. So 61.8% rule, as you guys know, is if it holds a 61.8% retracement, it's likely to go 61.8% back the other direction. Oh, look, that lines up with my PTs from this morning, which is up here. But anyways, pre-market analysis on the 5-minute, this is a perfect double top here. That is a very, very good PT. And we actually have a gap on ES just above that. Now, gaps are very, very important because they fill on futures. Futures gaps fill. They love to fill. So that is where my bias is at. Now, we're nowhere near it at the moment. We are nowhere near the PT. But if we invalidate this pullback here pretty much completely, or most of it, if we even get to here, all right, I'm going to have to take calls for this price target. It's kind of a bigger setup because it's not like it's a scalp, like I'm waiting to take it right here. Ideally, I want to take it before supply. So market opened, huge divergence between ES and NQ strength. ES was super strong. And I filled calls on this candle. Took SPX calls. I filled a little. I got an okay fill. I mean, you guys were able to fill better than me. But it was roughly here. This was kind of my PT. But realistically, if it got up here, I'd hold for the gap fill because I am pretty bullish for gap fills. And let me pull up my channel to make sure I don't mess up the timing of any of these trades. Give me 1 second. Yep, so this is when I filled. I filled at 2.9 on these SPX calls. And it was green. And we got up to like 3.3. Unfortunately, we rejected this this pivot here. I did take a very, very light position, literally just 3 contracts, which is like the size of one SPX contract on the NASDAQ up here, because the NASDAQ did flip a lot stronger than ES. I really thought this was going to hit. Like right at first attempt, I genuinely thought this was going to hit, but it did not. So I did take a super, super light QQQ call position, but it was only a few contracts, so it wasn't really anything major. Was green, but then we rejected. We perfectly swept high of day. Beautiful liquidity sweep in supply, and it's rare that I hold calls through supply and through a pivot. But if you actually look on the 1 minute, this isn't just a double top. This is actually a perfect triple top with a gap above it. It's a very big deal, right? That's where all my bias is. If we are in the range of potentially getting there, that's my bias, right? I didn't have really any other bias. Nearly stopped at, no, it wasn't on this candle I nearly stopped out. I nearly stopped out on one of these candles. Let me check which one. It was a red candle that ended up turning to, yeah, it wasn't this candle. And my stop loss was more so like right here. Ended up being red. I cut the tiny trade really early. This is the candle I almost stopped out on, almost alerted the stop loss on. I actually did stop out early on this candle. The next candle was red. Looked, bearish. But then it started flipping into a buying wick, and I said, wait, I'm not stopping out. I already did stop out, but I re-entered at the literally the exact same price that I stopped out of. I re-entered roughly here. Right here, I'm like, you know, it didn't really actually sweep my stop loss. If this buying wick invalidates, that's a hard stop loss for me. And that's what I said in chat. So, called stop loss. I actually stopped out, but pretty much immediately bought back in after I saw that massive reversal candle. Also, a big factor was NQ also put in a huge reversal candle. This is a very, very nice bull hammer. But it also made a lower low, which is pretty bullish. So I moved up my stop loss pretty aggressively here. I said this is a very hard stop loss now. If price action touches it, I'm out. Unless like it's chopping down and it's putting in a bunch of buying wicks on the way down. The second it touches a stop loss, I won't sell it because it's, you know, could put it in an easy buying wick. But pretty much that's a very hard stop loss for me. Unfortunately, we did get all the way back up to supply here. My contracts didn't even hit green. They were chopping really bad, which when you see that is a huge red flag of what's to come. So really big red flag there. And the red flag played out. Because because it dropped so hard, this is actually the biggest loss I've taken in a while. As far as like a percentage basis, I think I sold for, I entered 2.9, but I sold it 1.85 for minus 35%. There's certain, you know, sometimes when you're trading options, that's just what's going to happen. If I didn't honor my stop loss, though, I mean, by the time that candle closed, the contracts were at like 1.6. So it would have been worse. But yeah, so that happened, which is pretty unfortunate. And at this point, I was bearish for ES to get demand, but NQ was already in pretty heavy demand, and it had pivots right here. And it just wasn't a confident trade. Again, there wasn't a super nice like triple bottom PT coming up with a gap below. I'm not going to be really willing to enter a short side trade on support, sweeping pivots, and all that. Well, this is a potential reversal candle, and you can see the buying wick, which is beautiful. You can see the volume, which is beautiful. This is clear reversal volume. I'm kind of thinking this may come back up. And it actually does. So it wasn't on this candle. It was on, I started filling on this candle, but the alert got sent out a little bit later. I took a very small early position here. And this candle. Now, more specifically, I was eyeballing the inverse head and shoulders that was formed here. So ideally, I didn't want to get stuck in the chop again, so I wanted to get a good fill. So I wanted to fill on the right shoulder of this inverse head and shoulders, and ES was stronger, so it was going to be SPX calls again. And the next candle opened red. It made a lower low, and right as it started rounding off, that's when I filled my position. I filled SPX calls at 3.1, a much closer strike, and it ended up being a fantastic fill because the candle ended up being super green, but the next candle like came back down, and so it was a great fill. And when it's a great fill and it immediately goes green, usually people it's hard to follow, but a lot of times you'll still get a chance to fill. So started off green, then went to red, but then it pretty much played out, and I didn't sell a penny of it until it filled the gap, which was freaking beautiful. Didn't trim, didn't do anything. Market sold all of it the second the gap filled. The second it hit the top of this gap, 59.0550, boom. That was pretty much my day. I was done alerting options after that. I did take another options trade, and I alerted the TA to it, though. But that was a 54% gain, so now I'm pretty green on the day, and I was fairly heavy in that trade, especially as it started coming up. But that was beautiful, and just kind of goes to show, you know, you got to honor your stop losses. If I didn't stop out of that trade, yes, my PT still would have hit, but I would have made way less money because the calls would have chopped a ton. And on top of that, I would have had to hold through at like a 60% loss, right? But it was a great PT, and it completely defined my bias for this morning. And I'm working on an indicator now that'll be free for all you premium people. I won't even have the option for you guys to sell it right now, at least. But you premium members will get access to it. It's pretty much just going to automatically chart all the perfect double tops and triple tops and bottoms and whatnot. Because those are the big boy pivots that provide a lot of bias, and for good reason. You know, those pivots have been a cheat code for, been using them for roughly 3 years. Some of you old guys in this, some of you OG guys would know. It's roughly 2.5, 3 years. I've been trading those, looking for those every day, and they don't come up often, but when they do, they're huge biases, and they have a very, very, very high win rate, and I'm going to use that indicator to actually build a strategy revolved just around that, a hyper-mechanical strategy that you don't even get to trade it every day. But anyways, yeah, so that's something that I'm working on at the moment. But yeah, sold the whole position here. Freaking beautiful. And we sold the top. Like, it was glorious. I was tempted to enter puts here. Now, I was kind of done alerting. I just wanted an early day. I haven't had an early day of being done alerting in a minute. But I did not give it, and I did not fill puts here, and I'm glad I didn't because it ended up doing this. So when we bounce, I said if this bounce invalidates, it'll look really good for puts to demand. That's what it'll look great for. And it did kind of invalidate here, but it put in a huge buying wick, another huge buying wick. So if you waited for the candle to close, you didn't get in. If you didn't, you were in. But, and this was also a perfect trend line, by the way, which is a huge deal. Not this. Here. Perfect 3-point touch trend line, just like the perfect triple tops and bottoms and whatnot. Those perfect pivots, very likely to break. So I was actually in on this trade. Next candle was red, I believe. Nope, not this one. One of these candles was a big red one that I entered on. I'll find it. Nope, not this one. Nope. Never mind, I was way off. Not here, this candle, I believe. Yep, this candle. I did end up taking this trade, personally. SPX calls, I ended up making roughly, let's say like 30 to 35% on it, something like that. This was an easy trade. I called it out too. Like, I sent the TA alert beforehand. I said if it invalidates most of this bounce, it'll look great. And then when I entered, right after I entered, I said looks good for it. Let's see. Pinged everyone. A lot of people were in on this and sold it at demand. Look at the demand sell. And then it ended up bouncing from demand. Like, perfect sell. So we caught the bottom, we caught the top, and then we caught the bottom. Freaking beautiful. The supply and demand indicator was beautiful today. I wish it wasn't as beautiful in the morning and let my first call trade play out because it was a nice supply rejection here. But, you know, a perfect triple top, especially with a gap over it on a futures chart, that overrides, you know, nearly any supply for me. But that was my morning. So it was a good morning. A decent TA. It was kind of choppy if you kind of look back on it, but it was, at least pivots were sweeping. And if pivots are sweeping, I'm able to make money. And so yeah, that was my morning. With that being said, does anyone have any questions regarding that? And I kind of forgot to record yesterday's trade review, but this one is recorded and I will post it on the YouTube. Guru chart on Canvas, yep. Is it going to be trading view only? Yes. Yeah, it'll be trading view only. And yeah, I'm probably gonna, I don't know. You guys are gonna have to tell me how you like it and whether or not it's worth it for me to actually spend more money on producing it, refining it, adding more features, and then selling it for like $10 a month to everyone that's not you guys, or you guys that saw the announcement yesterday. So you guys will weigh in on that. But I tried looking for indicators regarding pivots and stuff, and most of them aren't even close to what I need, like not even close. So yeah, take my money. Now you guys got it for free. Come on now. You guys have been putting up with my terrible schedule lately. I'll give you $50 a day. That's a great deal, Lone. That is a great deal. But all right, that is it. Doesn't look like you guys have any questions. I'm going to put out some big announcements today regarding stuff that's coming up. We are doing the purge because we'll just talk about that later, I guess. I'll put it in the announcements. But anyways, yeah, the market is super bullish. 59.28 was my PT from yesterday. Very good levels. Very good levels. Very good pivots. These blue lines are great pivots. This was a perfect trend line. I told you guys yesterday to extend it out because it is perfect, and we are rejecting it again. I do not expect that rejection to hold. We are extremely overbought, so a huge pullback can totally happen. But I couldn't be more bullish for these pivots to break. I tried for them yesterday. I ended up doing okay yesterday, but I did lose money going for those pivots. Looks like they want to get it. I don't really know what the news is. Let me check real quick. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know. But all right. If no one has any questions, I'll see you guys later. Good luck if you guys continue to trade, and I will let you guys know when this recording. I'll let you guys know when this recording is posted.